Good evening to all of you, and we are just happy to have you here today on the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's webinar discussing scheduling with the new case management system for the county division. The Clerk of the Circuit Court is responsible for preserving and maintaining all court records, making and keeping a complete record of all proceedings and determinations of all court cases, collecting court fines and fees, and performing other duties as required by the law. Now, the court operations and administration portion of the Clerk of the Circuit Court is organized into 5 bureaus. The first, Municipal, Probate and County Bureau, Family Law, Law and Chancery, the Criminal Bureau, Suburban Bureau, and the Records Management Bureau. It also includes the Civil Appeals Division. The 4 bureaus are organized by types of cases. Now, the 5th bureau, the Records Management Bureau, is related to handling our court files at our Record Center. Now, today's training will focus on the County Division, which is a part of the 1st Municipal Probate and County Division Bureau. The primary purpose of this training and the series of webinars that we're hosting, and we're hosting them over the next several weeks. The primary purpose of this training is to introduce to you the case management system scheduling for the county division, but all of the webinars are being put together to introduce to the civil case filing community the new civil case management system called Odyssey for the Clerk of the Circuit Court. Now, although Odyssey was introduced in the county division in 2018, we're close to rolling it out for the entire civil case filing community. In addition, we're also close to rolling it out for our traffic division. We rolled out the criminal portion of the system in November of 2019. And during the pandemic, we have not stopped. We have continued to work and program both the civil as well as the traffic division. We will be adding some new scheduling functionality for the county division starting Monday, August 24th. And we will be rolling out traffic and civil during the months of September and October. We will be announcing those specific dates very, very shortly to you. Now, the county division specifically, I'd like to give you a little overview of it. It's located in the Richard J. Daley Center on the 12th floor in room 1202. The Richard J. Daley Center is located at 50 West Washington Street. The Honorable Sharon M. Sullivan is the presiding judge. Ms. Renee Banks is our executive clerk for court operations and administration. Ms. Banks is in charge of all of the various bureaus I discussed earlier. Mr. Sam Williams is the associate clerk for the 1st Municipal Probate and County Division bureaus. Ms. Pino Patel, which many of you probably have met, is the chief deputy clerk for the county division. And Mr. Ken Duncan is the assistant chief deputy clerk of the county division. The county division hears actions concerning a variety of matters, including but not limited to mental health proceedings, adoptions, emancipation of minors, name changes, various issues related to taxes, tax deeds, tax objections, election matters, unclaimed property, and certificates of errors. Other matters the county division hears concerning marriage of minors, annexation and de-annexation of land to a tax body, inheritance taxes, real estate taxes, municipal organizations, orders of protections filed in conjunction with a mental health proceeding. Now, the county division case files may include the following types of documents: petitions, appearances, motions, affidavits, applications, certificates, notices, court orders, and transcripts. The county division's records maintained are as follows. The records maintained date from 1871 through the present. County court case files indexes are from 1871 to 1964, and they are impounded by statute because adoption records are listed therein. Docket books and clerk's office records from 1871 to present that excludes impounded case types are available for public inspection. Most docket books and clerk's records books are stored off-site. In 2005, the clerk's office installed an automated and integrated case management system in the county division, allowing for the first time in 135 years of operation for the provision of automated information on tax objections, abductions, mental health, and other cases heard in the county division. So we are excited to present this webinar to you today. And I see many of you are coming on, and we are going to just slow down a minute so that we can make sure that as many of you that have registered can get an opportunity to come on and hear us. But while you do that, I'll give a little information about the CLE for today. Today, you will receive 1 hour of CLE credits that will be for attorneys. When you registered, you indicated your ARDC number. And once you did that, that gave you the opportunity to qualify for the CLE credit that will come along with this seminar. You must, however, stay on for the entire webinar in order to receive the entire 1 hour of time. The system does record the amount of time that each individual actually stay on the webinar. More information will be provided at the end of this webinar about how you will obtain your CLE certificate. I would also like to say that this webinar will be uploaded to the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's YouTube channel so that it may be viewed. You will not, however, be able to obtain the CLE credit by viewing the webinar on YouTube. At this time, we're going to start our PowerPoint presentation. Judge Sharon Sullivan will be coming on shortly. She will be a part of this presentation. She will give remarks. But at this time, I'm going to call on my executive clerk for court operations and administration, Ms. Renee Banks, to give you some opening remarks. Ms. Banks.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Good afternoon, and I'm very happy to have so many attendees join us for the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's training webinar on scheduling with the new case management system for the county division. As the Executive Clerk of Court Operation, I am seeing firsthand the significant upgrades that are being made to our business processes and the great improvement to best serve the users of the clerk's office in all other areas of law. Many of my staff in court operation have been working diligently in this process, especially the senior staff, the senior management of the associates and the chief deputy clerks. I appreciate all of their efforts that they are dedicating to this major project. At this time, I am proud to introduce one of my direct reports, Mr. Sam Williams, the Associate Clerk of the First Municipal Bureau, which includes County Division, Civil, Traffic, Probate. Sam has been a member of the Clerk's Office for 27 years. Today, Sam will give the remarks on the goals and objectives of today's webinar. Thank you, Clerk Brown.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate the introduction, and I know probably when you said 27 years, they probably looked like, oh my God, I know, I'm only 29. So how did that happen? So, but thank you, Clerk Brown. Thank you, under your leadership. We have embarked upon a new thing, of course, as we headed on to bigger and better things for the county division. And of course, with Pino Patel, which you'll hear from later, as being the Chief Deputy Clerk, it has been a pleasure to have her on my team. So I'm here to give you the goals and objectives of this webinar. Okay, and so it is basically, of course, to give you information and instruction on the following county division upcoming new case management system enhancements. Of course, we know that, as you see there, it says new case scheduling. Well, you didn't have that initially when the new case management system rolled out. Of course, you had to call on the phone and actually speak to one of the staff members. And literally, they were there to actually schedule the actual hearing for you. So this time, you don't have to do that. You can actually get that scheduled on the new case management system. You can schedule that yourselves, right? So the new case scheduling, it also includes, this webinar will include information about motion scheduling. Of course, again, you don't have to call someone again now to actually get that done. You can do it yourself and schedule yourself. We will also, in this webinar, deal with tax objection randomization. We will also deal with that also too. And then finally, of course, then we'll deal with what the new law is in regards to electronic notification. So as long as we make sure that you are registered with your email address, and then they'll explain that in particular about the electronic notification. So we're just on to doing bigger and better things. And I am so proud to have the new case management system in the county division. And now we're just moving on to the next level of making this thing even more streamlined and even more efficient. So thank you, Clerk. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share the goals and objectives of this webinar.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for that. And thank you, Ms. Renee Banks. I do want to thank both of them because they have been just outstanding during this time, and they both have a significant number of years with the clerk of the court, so they know what the operations actually were before, and now they know what they are now. Sam being 27 years and Ms. Banks for 35 years. Of course, as I said earlier, for the first time in 135 years, during my administration in the year 2005, we automated the case management system for the clerk of the court. And then in 2018, there was a change for the county division for the clerk of the circuit court. And so next, I would like for our Deputy Chief Information Officer to actually discuss, give you the history of where we've come from as it relates to the county division. And then Mr. Chris, and his name is Mr. Craig Wimberly. And then Mr. Christian Font, who is the project manager from Tyler Technology for our Odyssey case management system, will give you an overview of the Tyler Technology Odyssey system. Mr. Wimberly.
You're on mute.
You want to unmute yourself, Craig.
Mr. Wimberly?
Would that help? All right. Once again, participating attorneys, Presiding Judge Sullivan, if she's joined us, and fellow panelists, good afternoon. The County Division Case Management System is actually a part of a larger strategic initiative that we entered into to replace a disparate number of antiquated docket systems with one integrated state-of-the-art case management system, which will give a significant amount of benefits, both for operations internally and for the users of our system, our attorneys, our pro se litigants, and of course, the Office of the Chief Judge. We identified County Division as a division that we would pilot this effort with. As most of you know, if you're going to enter into a major development, it's prudent to pilot that effort in a given area, and we chose County Division for a few reasons. One, County Division had a caseload that was manageable, but more importantly, it has a diverse number of case types. They interact with other county agencies, such as the state's attorney, as well as outside agencies, such as our mental health facilities. It was a way to really kick the tires on the new system. And we went live with County Division, the case management system, in February of 2018, and we've been performing well ever since. I now will turn it over to Christian Font, who will provide some of the technical and processing benefits of this case management system. Christian?
Thank you, Craig. So yeah, my name is Christian Font. I'm with Tyler Technologies. I am the project manager for the civil implementation that's coming up, but County Division is also near and dear to my heart. I was actually the one who implemented County Division, so I've worked very closely with Penal. Just a little bit about what is Odyssey. So Odyssey is a suite of software products that support various courts and justice systems throughout the United States and beyond. Our flagship offering is what we call Odyssey Case Manager. That is what Cook County has implemented thus far for County Division, for criminal, and it's what we're implementing for the civil divisions and then eventually with traffic. Within that suite, so Odyssey Case Manager allows the automation and the coordination of case management and court cases from case initiation through disposition and beyond, which helps courts run more efficiently and more effectively. Odyssey Case Manager was introduced back in 2002. So it's been on the market for quite a while. Right now, we are actively in 31 different states, 16 of which are statewide implementations. So we have every single court operations in the entire state. And we serve right now over 1,000 counties, 16 of those being 20 of the largest counties in the United States, just like when we added Cook, which is number 2. Later on through this webinar, you're going to see one of our other product offerings called File and Serve, which most of you guys should be familiar with already. Maybe not by the name File and Serve, but it's called eFile Illinois. So that is a state mandated e-filing system, which was implemented back in July of 2018. File and Serve is a state-of-the-art platform which allows the electronic filings of cases, your documents, in order to allow courts to eventually become paperless. So right now, Odyssey in the state of Illinois is being used in Kane, Peoria, Tazewell, and of course, Cook County. And that's pretty much it. Clerk Brown.
Thank you, Craig and Kristen, for your overviews. We are excited about having the Odyssey Case Management System, a state-of-the-art system. We're moving from our mainframe and legacy-based system to a distributed system, server-based, real-time, and we are happy to have partnered with and continue to partner with the Tyler Technology team. As I said earlier, as Mr. Williams indicated to you earlier, we're going to talk to you about new cases and the changes that are taking place in scheduling new cases and how those hearings will be scheduled. Also motions. And so at this time, I'm going to introduce to you Ms. Pino Patel, who will give you an overview about new cases in the county division, and Sue Wellfeld will then show you how new cases are going to be scheduled, and then they're going to then talk to you about how motions will be handled, and then followed by Sue. Pino will then talk to you about tax objections and how those have been scheduled in the past and how they will be scheduled. And then following Pino, we have our Deputy General Counsel, Ms. Gloria Leggett, that will talk to you about electronic notification. And now, Ms. Pino Patel.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Good afternoon, everyone. For the new case scheduling in County Division, attorneys and pro se litigants will no longer have to call our office to schedule the date. The three case types where the system will auto-generate a court date at the time of filing are name changes, certificate of error, and property tax appeal board. The new case schedule functionality does not affect our mental health cases. The procedures for mental health cases will remain the same as it is now. All other case types will be scheduled by e-filing a motion or selecting a hearing date. You must wait until your new case filing is accepted in its entirety, and then e-file your motion and select a hearing date. I believe.
Okay, so next Sue will go over how that is going to work. But I just wanted to add a little something to what Pino just said. As she said, you're going to have a hearing automatically generated when you file for name changes, certificate of errors, and property tax appeal board cases. And all the other cases, you're going to have to actually file a motion to get your hearing. I just wanted to add to what Pino just said. Sue.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Welcome, everyone, and thank you. Good afternoon. So most of what you're going to see today in the e-filing system is going to look and function the same way as it does for you today. However, one of the things that will be changing for county division filers is that at the end of your filing, you're now going to see this request hearing date box that is shown on the top left of this slide that you're looking at right now. For all new cases, however, there aren't going to be any dates in these drop-down boxes. The box still will appear, but you're just going to select Do Not Schedule in this box that reflects here in the upper left corner. However, as both Pino and Clerk Brown mentioned, for name change, certificates of error, and property tax appeal board, the system is going to generate a date for you at time of filing, and you're going to see that reflected on the document when your file stamp document is returned to you. So if you see here in the lower image, you'll see both underneath the file stamp as well as in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see that the system generated a date of October 8th at 10:30 a.m. For this new case. So for those three case types, you will see the date come back to you on your document once we accept it in the clerk's office. And again, as they both mentioned, for every other new case type, you will have to file a motion to get your court date scheduled, and we're going to talk about that next. So for motion scheduling, again, like I mentioned, most of this is going to be the same as it is today. So if you're familiar with e-filing in the eFile Illinois system, it's going to, function the same way as it does today. The only part that's going to be different, we'll stress, is where you select your motion type in order to schedule your motion. So here, as you do today, this is where you're going to select your location. And for our discussion today, you'd be selecting Cook County, County Division, District 1, Chicago, and then you'd be selecting your case number. You should already be familiar with this, but you're going to enter your 4-digit century, and for county, the 4 alpha characters for that case type, and then the full 6 numeric case number. So any leading zeros to make 6 positions after the alpha. And then you're going to click search. And again, no dashes, no spaces, just all together the way you see it on the screen right here. So then when you click search, the case should come back to you. And you just want to verify that in fact this is, you can look at the description, which would be the litigant names on your case. You just want to verify that that is in fact the case you were hoping to have come back to you. If not, if you made any kind of typo and you need to go back, you would just click back to search to start that process over again. Otherwise, if this is the case you're looking to e-file into, you would click your actions and then file into case. So then the first part that you're going to be entering would be your attorney code. So you would, in the case cross-reference number box, you would be entering the 5-digit Cook County attorney code. And then in the case cross-reference type, you would be selecting Cook County Attorney Self-Represented Litigant Code. And then in the right-hand side, you would be selecting the Add Case Cross-Reference Number. The information you entered and selected would drop below the black line, and then you would click the blue Save Changes to move on to the next region. So this region is the most important part that we're going to talk about today. This is the part that is going to determine whether you'll be able to select a date for your motion at the end of this filing. So as you do today, you're going to select a filing code. If your filing code is a motion related code, and in this example, we selected motion 2 filed. So if you look in the top screen, you'll see that there is no motion type box between filing type and filing description. But once you select a motion related filing code, then that motion type box will appear underneath the filing type, as you see in the second picture on this slide. So then in order to select your motion type, which will allow you to schedule your motion date, you're going to hit that drop arrow and a list of motion types are going to appear. Until you're familiar with the different motion types that are going to be listed here, I suggest that you look through them all to check and make sure that there isn't a specific one that applies to what you're trying to file. If there is, you're going to select that specific motion type. So in this example, we are selecting election hearing because we're filing into an election case. So you want to scroll through them and make sure there isn't one that specifically relates to the kind of case that you're filing, a certificate of error hearing or a civil asset forfeiture return date. If there isn't a specific one, then you're most likely trying to file a motion into the general motion call that is available on every calendar. In that case, you would select the motion hearing motion type. The next slide will show you the list of the motion types that are going to be available in that dropdown. So again, it's important that you're selecting the correct motion type for your for the item that you're trying to file or trying to schedule. If you don't select a motion type at all, you are not going to have any dates available to you when we get to the end of this filing. If you select the wrong motion type, you may get the wrong date or time for the item that you're trying to file. So just always make sure you're scrolling through the motion types and selecting the one that applies to what it is you're filing and trying to schedule. Then the remaining part of the envelope is going to be as it is today. In this section, if you would fill out any of these fields that, these fields are more for your records. If there's a description you want to have or a client reference number you want for your records, these fields below the motion type are for your purposes, and whether you fill them in or not, they're not required fields for the clerk of the circuit court. And then you will upload your lead document as you do today, and then select the security for that document. Once you hit your save changes in that filing section and add any additional filings you may want to add at that time, then you're going to get to the payment section as you do today. You're going to select your payment account, your party responsible for fees, and then you're going to click Save Changes here as well. Now at this point, if you're ready to file this envelope, this document, you're going to click your summary. If for some reason you're not quite ready to file this, you can also click Save as Draft here, and then later on you would be able to resume your draft to continue on. But if you are ready to file this now, you would click Summary. Now many of you may just scroll past the summary and go down and hit Submit and not review anything. I'm going to strongly urge that when you're trying to schedule a date, that you at least review the filing section to make sure that your motion type was in fact selected and it is the correct motion type for what you are trying to file. So when you get to this filing section of the summary screen, it's collapsed the way you see right here in the filings on the screen right here. You see that all I see is the filing code that I selected. So in order to expand that section and see the actual motion type that you selected, you would just click on that filing code. So in this example, we would click on the words motion to filed in order to expand that section, as you'll see in the next slide. So then once that motion type expands, you can see the motion type that you selected. And if you don't see it there, that means for some reason it didn't register your motion type. So at the very bottom of the screen, you would click back to go back and fix it and select either the right motion type or select a motion type if for some reason your selection didn't register. So again, I know I'm going to say this a couple of times, but this is the most important part of scheduling, is to make sure that you A, have selected a motion type, and B, it is the correct motion type for what it is you're trying to file. Without those two things, then you're not going to be able to schedule the correct date for what it is you're trying to file and the court date that you're trying to receive. So again, if it's not the correct type, or there's no motion type there at all, at the bottom of the screen, you would click back. If it is the correct motion type, then at the bottom, you're going to click submit. Once you click submit, we can go to the next screen. Then we're going to get to that request hearing date box that we mentioned back in the beginning when we were talking about new case filings. This time, however, you are going to have dates and times to select from as long as you selected a motion type in that filing section. So you would first hit the drop-down arrow next to the select a hearing date, and you will receive a choice of hearing dates that are applicable to that motion type that you selected. Once you select a hearing date, then you can select a hearing time. There may be one time to choose from, there may be multiple times to choose from, depending on that calendar that your case is assigned to and how many sessions and days of the week and times that that particular motion type is heard on that calendar. So once you select a hearing date and you select a hearing time, then you would click save to send your selection to us here in the clerk's office. It may take a minute for that box to disappear. Just wait and be patient. Try not to just keep clicking save. But the box will disappear once the selection has been accepted, and it will be sent to us here in the clerk's office. And then again, as we spoke about in the new case scheduling, once you receive your file stamped document back in your email, it will have the motion date and time that you selected, as you see here underneath the file stamp. So again, in summary, pretty much everything is going to be staying the same as you do today. What you need to remember is in that filing section, you need to be selecting a motion type. And then once you select that motion type, verify in the summary screen that you did select a motion type and it is correct to the item that you're trying to file. And then make sure you're selecting a date and time in that court date request box at the end of your filing after you've clicked submit. And Pino's going to talk to you now about the tax objection cases.
Thank you, Sue. For the tax objections in the previous years, we've had very extensive manual process at scheduling initial tax objection cases that would take up a lot of our resources to get the scheduling completed. We have a process improvement for the coming year. At the time of filing, the tax objection cases will be randomized between 9 calendars from calendar 4 through calendar 12. As you see on the next slide, on this slide, your assigned calendar will appear along with the file stamp on your complaint that you will receive back once your filing is accepted. Once all of your cases are filed for the year, the clerk's office will then randomize each calendar cases and assign them to one of the 8 months of the case management hearing date.
At this point, I do want to thank Judge Sullivan, who is actually on the call, who worked very diligently with us in the tax objection cases area. As Pino said, for the 18 cases and those that you filed in prior years, you filed all of your cases, and then the clerk's office went through a huge manual process to get them filed. And Judge Sullivan has worked with us, and of course through the Odyssey case management system for the cases that you will be filing this year, you will get your cases randomized to the calendar from the very beginning. And once all the cases are filed, then of course they will be assigned to the 8-month period. So prior to my assistant, the Deputy General Counsel, coming on to talk about the e-notification, we're going to bring Judge Sullivan on and have her give some remarks at this time. Judge Sullivan.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Clerk Brown, and you know, kudos to you, because Clerk Brown was very flexible in trying to come up with a new way to look at tax objection cases, and realize that it didn't fit within any other case type of scheduling. And so we appreciate the efforts. And you know, there's a pilot for the 2018 cases, which were randomized and then assigned to calendars and then randomized again. And so that looks to be working well. So I appreciate that. And I think there's also been conversation with the tax bar, the 10.8 committee that Judge Paul put together, and hopefully several of those folks are on here. So I think that there's been a good working relationship with the tax objection practitioners and with the clerk's office and with the court. So I'm very optimistic that this is a good thing for everybody. And it also happened to coincide that the discussions were going on pre-pandemic, but ironically, the pandemic has forced everybody to do things more remotely. And because of those discussions and processes and other things that the clerk's office has been willing to do with processing tax objection prove-ups and orders, things are really working pretty efficiently, despite the day-to-day, you know, corrections that have to be made. So we really appreciate that. I'm very, very happy about that. And I do think that the county division, as has been pointed out, is a division that has so many different various case types. I know the adoption bar, I think, is really looking forward to you know, having their case being able to schedule manually. And I think we're pretty set on the times in which the initial presentations will be and the motions will be heard. And the same is true with the tax deed prove-up. So I really appreciate all the work that's gone into this, the changes that are made. As soon as we say we'll do it one way, there's a change to move it a little bit different. But I'm very optimistic, and to all of the practitioners out there, please, you know, be patient. Let us know how it's working, and I'm sure that any issues that come up will be addressed. But thank you, Clerk Brown, for your efforts here.
Clerk Brown, you're muted.
You're muted now.
Thank you, Judge Sullivan. I didn't want to interrupt while you were talking. I want to certainly announce that you will be piloting the electronic signature for us in the county division, and want to just thank you for that as well, which is something that's very important during this pandemic and the different Zoom hearings that are occurring. And so, and thank you for working with us for the randomization. So Sue, I want to thank Sue and Pino for their the information that they just provided concerning how motions will be scheduled. I know people will be excited about the fact that they will not have to call the clerk's office to get their dates. They'll be able to select their dates for all of those case types other than the 3 that were announced, which will be randomized automatically, which will be assigned automatically. So thank you all. Now we're going to give you some very exciting information about electronic notices. A few years ago, when the Supreme Court permitted the clerk's office to provide its electronic case management status notices, electronically, as opposed to sending out postcards, we put in a system to permit attorneys to opt in to be able to receive their notices electronically, while we continue to send pro se's postcards. Well, we're excited about the fact that the Supreme Court has actually moved forward in requiring pro se's or self-represented litigants to provide email addresses so that we will be able to send electronic notices to pro se's. Of course, given the pandemic, everyone has an email address, has been receiving information by email. And so this just adds to it. And the functionality that the Odyssey case management system is giving us the ability to do has really helped us during this time. And so I'm going to give information over to Ms. Gloria Leggett. And so Ms. Gloria Leggett is going to tell you all about the new rules surrounding the new case management system. And have no fear, we see the questions that you have in the question and answer section, and we will be addressing those questions before we close out this webinar. Gloria?
Thank you, Clerk Brown. As Clerk Brown said, there have been some changes in the Illinois Supreme Court rules that will make it much easier for self-represented litigants to receive email notifications for court pleadings and filings in the Clerk of the Circuit Court and around the state of Illinois. I want to call your attention to Rule 11 and also Rule 131, which is contained on our next slide, which were amended on July 15th, 2020, and they are effective immediately. Currently, or before the amendment to Rule 11, it simply said that an attorney must include on the appearance, and it's also said that a self-represented litigant may include on the appearance in all pleadings filed. And so that has been amended to state that an attorney must include on the appearances, as well as a self-represented litigant who has an email address must also include the email address on the appearance and on all pleadings filed in the court to which documents and notices will be served in conformance with Rule 131D. As I said earlier, that rule was amended July 15, 2020, and it is effective immediately. The Illinois Supreme Court also included committee notes, which states that when a self-represented litigant has provided an email address to the court pursuant to subparagraph B, courts retain their discretion to determine if an alternative method of service of documents or notices, either in addition to or instead of email, is needed. We also wanted to include the committee notes from December 21st, 2012, which were created to allow for the service of documents electronically. And so both of these notices work together to allow for electronic notices to go out to attorneys, as well as for self-represented litigants to now opt into e-notice for court filings and pleadings. Next slide. Rule 131 was also amended on July 15, 2020, and it deals with the name, addresses, telephone numbers, and email addresses. And previously it said that all documents filed or served in any cause by an attorney upon another party shall bear the attorney's name, business name, email address, and telephone number. And now that has been amended, and if you look in Section 2 of Rule 131B, it also contains this information as well for self-represented litigants. And all documents filed or served in any cause by a self-represented litigant upon another party shall bear the self-represented litigant's mailing address, telephone number, and additionally, a self-represented litigant who has an email address must designate a single email address to which service may be directed under Rule 11. If a self-represented litigant does not designate an email address, then service upon and by that party must be made by a method specified in Rule 11 other than email transmission. And adding these additions and amendments to the Supreme Court rules will make it much easier for the parties to opt into e-notification and also electronic service upon not just the attorneys, but also the self-represented litigants. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. I want to have Sue, however, go back and explain just a little bit more about how important it is for the filers when they're filing a motion for a hearing, for how important it is for them to indicate the type of motion and double checking the type of motion. Sue, will you reiterate that, please?
Of course. So as we've stated, and I don't know if we can show that list again of motion types, but it's important to go through that list and see if any of those motion types apply to the specificity of what it is you're trying to file. So there's a few different kinds of adoption hearings. There's a few different kinds of tax hearings. So you want to go through that list, and if one of those directly applies to the motion that you're trying to schedule, then you want to make sure you're selecting that motion type. However, if your motion is not something that is specific to one of these motion types, then you're going to select the general motion hearing. And again, that's going to get you scheduled on the general motion call that's available on all calendars. But it's vital that you pick, if you want to be able to select a court date, in that request a hearing box at the end of your filing, you must select a motion type. If you do not, if you leave that drop-down box blank, there will be no dates available to you when you hit submit, and you would have to start your filing over again. But as long as you select a motion type and hopefully the correct motion type, then there will be dates and times available to you for that particular motion type in that request a hearing box at the end of your filing after you've clicked submit.
So it's important for you to know that our dates and times are tied to those motion types. The dates and times are generated based upon the motion type you select.
Correct.
If in fact, okay.
I'm sorry.
If in fact you don't select a motion type, as Sue indicated, there will be no dates and times presented to you, and you will have to start over. Sue, you wanted to add something?
Yes, my apologies. I wanted to just clarify one more thing that came to my mind. Because the fact that many of the calendars hear so many different kinds of motion types on different days of the week and different times of day is the reason why the motion type is so important, because you want to make sure you are getting your filing scheduled into that correct session on that calendar for that type, because so many different things are heard on all of the calendars and different days of the week and different times of day.
Thank you, Sue. I thought that it was very important that we go back and actually discuss that for you. Now let's look at some of the questions, and I'll present it to the panel, and Judge Sullivan, if there's anything that you can also answer. Just in general, the first question someone asked indicated there's 12 different e-file service providers, and they wanted to know why was Odyssey listed as a preferred. There's no particular reason that Odyssey is listed as a preferred vendor. It is the one that is on our website simply, and we have all of them actually listed on our website, and you can actually select whichever one you so desire. But then they also said, what case types with a generated date at filing, what is the procedure to change the date if necessary? So Sue, if you can go back over those case types where there will be the date will be generated at the time of filing?
Of course. So that would be for a name change, a certificate of error, or a property tax appeal board.
Okay. Then they say, what is the procedure to change the date if necessary?
To my understanding, that would be a motion, but I would maybe defer that to the division.
Yeah.
Court
They're having
operation.
to file a motion. Yeah. Yeah. It's coming on a motion asking for a different date, but
Okay, so you'll have to file a motion. Great. They want to know if they can actually add a name change request to for a child during the divorce.
That would be within your divorce proceeding. You wouldn't have to file an independent name change case in the county division.
Very good. Will it be possible to change system-generated dates for a name change in case, and I think we answered that already, in a case of scheduling problem without wasting time preparing a filing a motion to continue? Judge Sullivan already answered that. You will have to file a new motion for that.
That's right. If it becomes a problem, but the dates are pretty far out, right, Pino? They're like 6 to 8 weeks out.
They're at least 8 weeks out.
8 weeks out.
Very good. They indicated, I see the new scheduling features will be rolled out for the county division first. Will this apply to all the divisions? And Sue, you can explain how we're going to have different webinars to discuss those.
I will, thank you. So yes, the basic premise applies to all divisions. There are some varying degrees of changes. We are going to have a webinar for every area of law over the next few weeks. I believe that schedule should have been sent out to everyone. And so some of the basic information as far as selecting a motion type, that will be the same, but new case scheduling and the motion types that are available, that will be a little bit different from area of law to area of law.
Okay, thank you. And so that information will be available at the end of this webinar. And of course, when we email out this we will email this this PowerPoint out as a PDF, and that will be a part of that. But you should have received an email with the webinars for all of the other divisions as well. Someone is asking, what is the difference between a motion and a motion hearing?
So motion hearing is just the name of the motion type to be selected if your motion that you're trying to file does not meet one of those specific motion type requirements. So the calendars have a general motion hearing call certain days of the week, and that's the motion type that you would select to get into that motion. So again, if your matter does not fall into one of the specific motion types, it's not an adoption, it's not an election, it's not one of those tax items, then you would be selecting motion hearing as the motion type to get scheduled into that correct general motion hearing schedule on that calendar.
Okay. Someone is asking about being able to see images over the internet. Basically, I'm summarizing that. And we are working with the Illinois Supreme Court, who has a program, and we're piloting it. We're actually participating in the actual rollout, testing it now. It's called Research Illinois. And that program will actually permit you to download images for all of the clerks of courts in the state of Illinois. And we are participating in that program at this time. We're actually one of the testers. Okay.
Clerk Brown?
Yes, Craig, you'd like to add something to that?
Yes, Craig Wimberly. I would add that they're targeting toward the end of the year to roll out Research Illinois at this point.
Very good. Craig is our deputy CIO, and he's keeping up with that. Thank you, Craig. Someone is asking, Paula is asking, she said, I apologize, was online scheduling not available for the county division previously? Our office does not have any cases in the county division. Could you clarify? No, Paula, it was not. Unfortunately, the scheduling was not available for the county division previously, even though it has been available in some of the other, it is available in some of the other civil case type divisions. They're asking, Christian, and I'll let you answer this. It says, does the system work with any web browser?
So eFiling, yes, works with any browser. We do have a preferred browser, which is Internet Explorer, but you can go ahead and use any browser.
Thank you. Okay, someone is mentioning, now some of these questions are more local specific, and we'll download these and add the answers. It's related to one of our forms. They're saying that needs to be updated, so we will take a look at that form. Now they said, who do you contact if a filing is not accepted timely? Pino, how are you all handling that?
They can certainly call me. I believe most of our attorneys and their clerks have my number, but if they do not, they can always call me to let me know to accept the filing. My number is 312-603-5594. And
Thank you.
we'll have it taken care of.
But you can also find Pino's number on our website under the county division, the contact information for the chief deputy clerk, as well as assistant chief deputy clerk, and the division in general is on the website. Judge Sullivan, I think this is for you. How do you schedule an emergency motion?
So they probably would do it the same as any other motion. You just have less notice to give. It's just a quicker, and they can always, you know, if it's a true emergency, they can always call if they can't get it scheduled, either to, you know, one of the court coordinators or to Pino, I'm sure, and we'll get it scheduled.
Thank you. Someone wants to know if the dates and times take into consideration any dates the judges are away from the office. Kristen, you probably can answer that, or Craig. I mean, the system would be updated, obviously, if we're notified.
So Clerk Brown, if I may, the judges usually, if they're going to be on vacation, we let Pino know, and those dates are blacked out so that hopefully nothing is scheduled on the dates when they're not there. And if it does get scheduled, we try to find a judge to hear it.
And I would add, Judge Sullivan, that as soon as we receive a request such as that, we make that change immediately so that it impacts e-filing right away.
Yep, thank you, thanks.
Okay. All right, and someone mentioned the Research Illinois and when they would be available, and Craig already answered that. They mentioned Kane and DuPage and the fact that things are available. Kane and DuPage actually have documents available over and above that which is permitted by the Supreme Court. But of course, we at Cook County, we have to stay within the rules of the Supreme Court. It is my personal feeling that going outside of what's permitted by the Supreme Court actually takes away our veil of immunity. And so we will be rolling it out with the Research Illinois, where you can get access to the documents as permitted by the Supreme Court. Okay, so I think some of the other questions actually, let me just look here. Now they're asking, will Cook County also implement this type of thing for municipal divisions in the future? I'm going to be listing, you will see the list of the webinars for all of the other divisions. But yes, this is going to be rolled out for First Municipal Division. It's going to be rolled out for all the suburban boroughs, suburban districts, all the civil cases in the suburban districts as well, and traffic. So we're just excited about this system being rolled out for all of the divisions. Let's look and see.
I believe someone did ask also, Clerk, I guess, that they only saw a couple of dates in the presentation, but I want to make sure that like Christian, you can expound, but you will be able to see several dates rather than just 2 dates. It should be several dates in the drop down that you'll be able to choose from.
I'll actually take that question for him. So the dates that you see are based on the minimums and maximums that were given to us by Judge Sullivan. So for example, some were 7 to 14 days, 1 to 7, 0 to 14, 7 to 60. So it just depends on the parameters that were given to us by Judge Sullivan. So that particular example may have been a shorter time frame, which is why you only saw 2. But if they have a longer time frame, you'll see multiple dates throughout that you could choose from, throughout that range that was given to us by Judge Sullivan.
Very good, Sue. Someone wants to ask, and I think that I'm not sure if we covered this already. If a judge has already previously given a person a date and they're going through and filing their motion, what are they to do? for anything other than those three, that's going to be automatically set. When you get to the select a court date, I think you had indicated that you were supposed to say do not schedule or something. That if you already have your date,
Right.
you do not need a date, but you want to file your motion.
Correct. So if a court date was already given by a judge in court, that date should already be on the docket for that case. So you would not need to schedule a date. You would just select do not schedule the way you're going to do for a new case or any other filing that a date does not apply to. And then that date will already have been entered in the docket from the court entry when you were in court.
Okay. And someone is saying, why is the filing system to be different for each different area? So you want to take that one?
Sure. And truly it's because the presiding judge rules in every area of law and every location are a little bit different in how they schedule, how they divide their call up throughout the different rooms or calendars. So again, the basic functionality of needing to select a motion type, that is the same. It's just how those motion types are selected, the number of them, the kind of what they mean, whether they're for a specific filing group or a specific case type. It's all just a little bit different. And there are maybe some changes to the new case types in some areas of law in municipal civil for the suburban location. So that's why we're having one for every location to make sure that the filing communities understand those differences based on the general orders from those individual presiding judges.
Very good. And they want to know when this system will be alive. It will be scheduled to go live August 24th, Monday, August 24th. And they want to know, how does COVID affect scheduling motions right now? Right now, it's, they're just doing the same way, right? Calling you.
They're doing the same way. They're calling us and we're scheduling it over the phone.
Okay. Can you clarify that 6 to 8 weeks? I think someone did not understand what that 6 to 8 weeks meant, Pino, earlier.
So that's for our name change cases, because we do have to send, the petitioner has to do a publication, and that takes a couple of weeks. And then there's a statute that says that we have to notify the Illinois State Police and the State's Attorney's Office. And so we also need that to be completed. And so our name changes are always given out 2 months out. So that's 8 weeks out. And so when they're filing their petition, the date will be at least 2 months out. If the cap is full, then the system will give them a next available date, but it won't be shorter than the 8 weeks.
And this discussion is only for the county division. To answer your question, if that is for all divisions, this is only for the county division. And they wanted to know, what if a motion was e-filed in the last week and sent to a judge for a hearing on a random date per the GAO? Does it need to be renoticed? When is this in effect? Anything that's been e-filed to date would go under the old rules, right, Judge Sullivan?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how they would get it if they have a case that's already scheduled for a date and they filed something for the court to consider on that date, or if they filed a motion, they still would have to get a date either by calling the clerk's office or filing some type of scheduling motion. So let me just mention one other thing. I think people are confused as why there's different times for things. And part of it is in the county division, like we don't want to hear an adoption case at the same time we're hearing a tax case. So if you have an adoption motion, you want that to go before the adoption judge at the time the judge is hearing adoption cases. So that's why those are like at 9:30 Monday through Thursday, whereas other motions related to tax deed prove-ups, which require a longer period of time for the attorneys to prove those cases up, are given different time increments. So it's really no different than what everybody's been doing, all along, but we've tried to put it in so it could be automated.
Very good. So I think we answered this question already, but they say if we need an emergency date scheduled and it's not available in the drop down, how do we get a date if we have received the go-ahead from the judge?
So, Pino,
They can call our office, and if it's an emergency motion where they need to go before the judge within the same day or the next day, they can call our office and we'll schedule it.
Okay. All right. Is a notice of motion still required, Sue? Will the notice of motion still be
the
required?
statutes haven't changed. This is just how we schedule. So yes, they would still file a notice of motion with their motions.
Okay. Sue Wellfell, they said, can you provide your contact information for attorneys?
I knew that was coming.
Your clerk's office number?
Of course. I am actually the chief of the Civil Appeals Division, but I am absolutely always willing to help anyone with e-filing. I used to be ahead of the e-filing when we first implemented it. So my direct line is 312-603-5523.
And I have put it in the chat. She is our project manager for scheduling. And they said, if a court date needs to be stricken, what would be the procedures? As they are now, correct?
Right, they would have to go before the judge.
Okay, I think the remaining questions we can answer, I believe. Okay, I believe that's the last one. And so I want to provide to you, I want to first thank all of our panelists for their presentations today. Thank you, Renee Banks. Thank you, Judge Sullivan, Judge Sharon Sullivan. Thank you, Ms. Renee Banks. Thank you, Mr. Sam Williams and Ms. Pino Patel. Thank you, Sue Wellfell. Thank you for giving your number out. Thank you, Deputy CIO Craig Wimberly and Kristen Font. Thank you so much. Kristen has been working very hard with us with Tyler Technology. Throughout this entire pandemic, we've been keeping this going. And thank you very much, Ms. Gloria Leggett, our Deputy CIO. Now we can, Jaylene, if you'll let them see the CLE information. For the CLE, that's the next slide. Attorneys that attended this training webinar for the entire time will be eligible for the CLE for the hour. When you registered with your name and email address, your ARDC number should have been included. We will verify the length of time that you were in attendance to the webinar through our Zoom webinar report. Your CLE credit certificate will be emailed to the email address associated with your registration. So your CLE certificate will be emailed to you to the email address that you registered for this webinar. Many of you have asked about the presentations for the other areas of law, and this is the next. And all of them will qualify for CLE credit. And we will have 2 on next week, the Chancery Division on Monday, August 17th. All of them are at 4:00 p.m. Probate will be on Thursday at 4 p.m. The Domestic Relations Division will be the following Monday, August 24th at 4 p.m. Civil will be on Thursday, August 21st at 4. The Law Division will be on Monday, August 31st at 4 p.m. And the Suburban Districts 2 through 6 will be Thursday, September 3rd at 4 p.m. And you will get an opportunity to see the differences in the various systems. We will be emailing out the PDF of this PowerPoint to all of you that registered, so you'll be able to get this information. For those of you that asked the question, how will you get this information? Finally, there is a list attached of all the bios of all the panelists. If you desire to find out more information about our panelists, that list is attached to this presentation. And of course, you can contact our office from the information that is on our website. And basically, you can call 312-603-5030. However, for the specific divisions, of course, you can go to the specific divisions and you can find their contact information for the specific divisions. I see that there are a few more questions, and as I said, many of the questions are very similar, and we will be answering the questions and sending the information. The answers to any questions that are different, we'll be sending that information to you. So at this time, we're going to close out. I want to thank all of you for your wonderful presentations today. We want to thank Ms. Jaylene Strong, our Public Information Officer, for putting on this webinar for us. Just as for your information, this webinar will be uploaded to the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's YouTube channel so that you can get this information at any time. You can refresh yourself on all of the information at your convenience. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you, Clerk Brown.
Thank you, Clerk Brown.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you, Clerk Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you.